In my previous video, I talked about some of the most controversial FNAF content creators out there. If you haven't seen that video yet, I highly recommend you go ahead and watch it. But easily by far the most popular creator amongst that list in the comments section was Phisnom. A lot of people showing a lot of attraction to the controversy and the drama surrounding Phiznom's name. And after all, he was involved with the most hyped FNAF fan game in existence in Five Nights at Freddy's Plus. Plus, there was a little bit more to the story that I didn't exactly put in the video. And I feel like the only way to really know the true ins and outs of Phiznom's career is to make an entire video dedicated to the rise, fall, and somewhat redemption of Phisnom. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content related to this. Thanks guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So before we even figure out what happened with Phisnom and the FNAF Plus cancellation, we need to first figure out who exactly Phisnom is. Well, he's a video game creator who first got off the ground by collaborating with Kane Carter on a project called Pop Goes Arcade. This game was released all the way back in 2016 and didn't take a long time to complete. This initial success gave him some recognition that Phisnom really needed to get his feet off of the ground. Phiznom's very first official game was released called A Shadow Over Freddy's, which received acclaim for its ominous atmosphere that developed deeper into the creepy ambience of the initial Five Nights at Freddy's game. Not long after this, he would still be creating different video games, but he'd be mostly working aside Kane Carter. Phisnom was actually working on a brand new project called Pork Chop's Horror Show, but on a random day, he just decided to delete the project and deactivate all his social media accounts and go into a hiatus where nobody really knew where he went or what exactly happened to him. And out of nowhere, just as quickly as he disappeared, he came right back on the scene whenever he released a game called FNAF Open Source. Basically, what this fan-made game was pretty much like a fan-made remake of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 game. It was also pretty much a Kickstarter for any FNAF content creator out there to go ahead and use the exact same source that was made for the original Five Nights at Freddy's game to develop your own video game. So, in a way, this was kind of Phisnom giving back to the fans a little bit. Unfortunately for Phisnom, Scott Cawthon had a rule, and a very strict rule that he stuck very firm to, and that was no fan-made games can be resembling too much of the original content in the series. So Scott naturally ended up taking the entire game down, and it was deleted, and that kind of was a punch in the gut for Phisnom. Luckily for him though, Scott Cawthon, despite deleting the game, was very intrigued with the concept. He liked the way that Phisnom was developing his characters, and made it look awfully close to the original game. The game was so well put together and designed by Phisnom that Scott Cawthon actually wanted to now work alongside this man and approached him with an idea to make a Five Nights at Freddy's remake and title it Five Nights at Freddy's Plus. And obviously, Phisnom agreed to it. There was a contract that was signed for it, a huge agreement was made, and shortly after, Five Nights at Freddy's Plus was officially in development, and this was the big break that Phisnom was actually looking for. The game was officially announced and titled Five Nights at Freddy's Plus on August 16th, 2020. Not only did this game announce that there was going to be a Five Nights at Freddy's remake in the works, but it also kickstarted the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, which, if you're unfamiliar with it, is basically an opportunity for different content creators out there that love the Five Nights at Freddy's storyline to make their own version of the video games. It was Scott Cawthon's blessing, saying you can use my characters, you can use my storyline, you can use pretty much everything from the original games into your own video game, but of course he stuck to his guns and said that it cannot resemble too much of the original games. So we can kind of thank Phisnom for the start of these Fanverse initiative, and a lot of good creators out there ended up releasing some pretty big bangers over the years. So shout out to Phisnom and Scott Cawthon for opening that. Development for Five Nights at Freddy's Plus definitely went on for a long time, but it was kickstarted whenever the name was released, and there was also a teaser image that showed Freddy, which resembled a lot of the original Five Nights at Freddy's game. However, it was very dark and you couldn't quite see what it looked like. Not long after that, about a month later in September, the first teaser video for the game was released called Connection Error, which features Bonnie inside the dining room area approaching the camera and causing different connection errors. Over the course of the next couple of months, there were various different teaser videos and teaser images that were released for the game. However, during this time, we never got a release date or any gameplay footage whatsoever, which left fans speculating if this game is actually even going to come out or if it's even worth it. Because if you're familiar with Scott Cawthon's work, anytime he would tease a video game, say like it was coming out a year from now or 5 months from now, That was prototypically a lie. He was not good with release dates. I remember Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was supposed to release in early 2015, and it released in October of 2014. However, this is not only Scott Cawthon's project, and this is basically Phisnom's project, with Scott Cawthon kind of tagging along on the side of it, so a lot of people were like, okay, well maybe there's a lot of effort going into here. 2021 rolls around, and several new teasers for the game was posted on YouTube and all other social media platforms, and they got a lot of praise and a lot of recognition. So much so that due to the reception of the new teasers, Phisnom ended up releasing 4 bonus features also in January of 2021. They included an image of plastic toys on 3 core animatronics, and other images include plushies and a bunch of other stuff on it. Pretty much setting an homage to the original game, but in its own remake form. On August of 2021, it had been an entire year since the game was teased and that it was going to come out, and the final teaser image and video was released. The final video was titled Breaking Plus Entering, and for the St. Jude's 24-hour charity stream, the FNAF Plus X account released its final image, which was a full body shot of Foxy. But time keeps on going by, and we still have literally nothing outside of these teaser images that are related to the final game itself. It wasn't until June of 2022 that during a Q&A with Phisnom, he released that we're going to be seeing the first ever reveal of gameplay very soon, revealing that the graphics and general gameplay have been implemented and the animatronics AI was next on the agenda. We're 2 years into the development, and they're still not fully done with this game. What the hell is going on? And instead, we never got any gameplay footage whatsoever. The only thing that we got that was, I guess, a step in the right direction was an official Steam page was revealed, but that doesn't mean anything because there was no gameplay or even a release date attached to it. More months go by, and it isn't until December of 2022 that we get any more news. Dawko was sent a joke demo of the game by Phisnom personally, revealing the game's title screen for the first time. The gameplay, however, was excluded instead of portraying a Christmas tree made up of the player avatars from Among Us, with Freddy heads doing the same movement as a character from Open Season to a festive tune. Not a lot of people were thrilled with this. We still get nothing out of this. However, this would be the last good step that Phisnom would take, because unfortunately we still didn't get anything until July of 2023, and this is where everything went to hell for Phisnom. We got what seemed like some promising news from Kane Carter, who uploaded an image of download complete for Five Nights at Freddy's Plus, making it look like the game was pretty much finished and a release date should be coming up soon. However, Phisnom found himself embodied in a controversy of shit after tweeting that Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach DLC ruin was boring. This sparked a lot, and I mean a lot, of drama on FNAF Twitter. This had a vocal disagreement from several fans. Shortly after this, a Twitter user reposted Phisnom's tweets, and his response was that Phisnom's upcoming game, FNAF Plus, will end up being just as boring as FNAF's Security Breach, and this did not get a lot of good reception. A lot of Phisnom's fans ended up defending Phisnom and sending him a lot of threatening messages, death threats, and most of the messages contained graphic and violent content towards this Twitter user. With all of this going down, a lot of people wanted to know Phisnom's intake on the entire situation and what he thought of it, and his response was one of the worst ones out there. His response was, "That's pretty messed up. Why can't I get death threats? Do other people deserve death threats and I don't? Every real Phisnom fan knows that I'm the only one that should be getting death threats. Could I get some death threats now, please? Give them. Please give Delig death threats." This is honestly a very childish response to a very serious situation, which could have resulted in another person dying because of a disagreement on Twitter. Their fans were literally sending this man death threats and very gruesome and disgusting videos that should not be seen on the internet. And whenever you're a creator like Phisnom, who's very well known and is actually making the most hyped FNAF game of all time, it doesn't make a very good look for you whenever this is how you're going to respond to controversy and drama surrounding your name. There are many different mature ways to handle the situation, by even going as far as calling out some of your fans for their immature and very disgusting behavior. Instead, he decided to stoop low with them and act like a fool. Needless to say, this was not a very good look for Phisnom, and he received a lot of backlash from this response. Phisnom still wasn't taking the situation very seriously and did not make a statement or a comment after this post. It wasn't until some of Phisnom's close friends approached him and let him know that he really needs to start taking this stuff seriously, as it could really impact his development on future games. After all, he's working alongside Scott Cawthon, one of the few fan-made creators out there to get such an honor, so him doing this is not helping his case whatsoever. Not long after this, there were a lot of bad theories that were going around surrounding Phisnom's name, one of which saying that the game was actually completed and he was just holding it back because he just wanted to be a dick to the rest of the community. I, however, don't believe in this. As I stated in my previous video, Scott Cawthon was tagged along in here. You could see his name and logo at the bottom of each poster that was revealed, and I don't think Scott Cawthon would even consider holding any game back because of what Phisnom wanted to do. So I don't believe this theory to be true. Less than a week after this entire situation had happened, Phisnom was removed from the Steam page related to Five Nights at Freddy's Plus. A day later, Phisnom uploaded a video called My Current Situation to his YouTube channel, where he basically explained everything that had went down and the drama surrounding all the Twitter things, and basically confirmed that he only started taking the situation seriously when a lot of close friends of his advised that he needs to take this seriously and not with a grain of salt. The video felt very sincere. It was really 30 minutes long and it wasn't monetized, so he wasn't making any money off of this, and you can kind of hear in his voice that he really meant it. Unfortunately, the video is now taken down and you cannot see it. Maybe there's a re-upload out there, and if there is, I recommend you go watch it. But nobody could have predicted what was going to happen a couple days later, when the entire game was delisted off of the Steam page and canceled altogether. A lot of people were pretty shocked about this. Despite Phisnom leaving the game, there was speculation that maybe Scott Cawthon would step in and finish it, but this wasn't the case whatsoever. Phisnom later on confirmed that he was removed from the project and would be stepping away from video game development and also the FNAF community, taking a little bit of time to himself, I'm guessing, to reflect on his actions and what he had did, and the game was never going to see the light of day. There was a contract where Phisnom legally cannot talk about anything related to the FNAF Plus game, as he was completely removed from it, and nobody else that had seen anything about the game was allowed to even talk about it. Scott Cawthon didn't really make a statement or anything regarding Phisnom and his removal from the game, and it's unclear whether or not he just stepped away from it on his own or if Scott Cawthon was the one that removed him from the game. All we know is that it's been an entire year since that situation happened, and we still haven't gotten anything related to FNAF Plus, and it's very unlikely that it'll ever see the light of day. The sad part about this entire situation is the fact that this game could have been released and could have been one of the greatest FNAF games out there, and probably could have even have topped some of the original games. Unfortunately, that the creators of the game decided to act a little bit immature and didn't really act like video game developers should. They were not responsible and didn't take anything very seriously, which resulted in a cancellation of the game. But Phisnom can't take all the credit for the downfall of this game, as his own fan base that wanted to see the game so badly was a very big helping hand in the cancellation of the game. If all parties would have just acted mature and not have freaked out and did really stupid things, we probably would have seen the release of FNAF Plus. Like I said, the most hyped FNAF game of all time, more than the original series was, and we're never going to be able to see the light of day of it, because nobody knows how to act online. So it's been well over a year since the entire controversy happened and the FNAF game was removed, so where has Phisnom been ever since then? Well, he still isn't developing any more games, and he still doesn't have any ties to FNAF Plus. While he isn't active in the game developing community, he is still very active on his YouTube channel, where very frequently does he go live, play video games, and talk to a lot of his streamers. He actually has even been redeeming himself a lot, as he's been doing a lot of charity charity streams since then, where he donates a lot of different monies that he gets from those streams to charities. So he is using his platform for a really good cause. Not only that, Phisnom has definitely spoken out about how his mental health has definitely gotten a lot better since the FNAF Plus controversy, and he's been doing a lot better with himself, which is definitely good. All in all, Phisnom is not a terrible person. He's a really good video game developer, and I'm really sad that we're never going to be able to see FNAF Plus, as I really do believe it was going to be worth the hype. And I really do believe that he actually learned from his mistakes that he had made back in 2023. Everybody makes mistakes. The biggest part about a mistake is learning from it and just try not to commit the mistake again. And I really do believe that if he were to ever step back into the spotlight and make another game similar to that he wouldn't make the same mistakes. And every situation that had ever gotten out of hand, he would take it very seriously. Even though he's doing really good with his mental health and his YouTube channel is growing, we're still never going to know FNAF Plus, and it's still going to go down as one of the most controversial FNAF games out there. What could have been the biggest FNAF game out there will just be a faded memory that we're never going to be able to see. If you're interested in Phisnom and his content and kind of want to keep up with him, feel free to hit the subscribe button on his YouTube channel. He hit over 100,000 subs last year in May of 2023, and he's very close to 200,000 subs. And his videos aren't bad whatsoever, and if you ever want to try out any of his charity donations, live streams, feel free to do just that, as that's a pretty wholesome thing to do. So even though we're never going to see FNAF Plus, Phisnom himself is doing really good. The community looks like it ended up surviving it, so that's always a great thing. And that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.